credit card bills? Call the Debt Helpline now for a free confidential debt analysis.
800-957-6063. 800-957-6063. Call the CESI Debt Helpline right now for a free confidential debt review. 800-957-6063. 800-957-6063.
Let's roll, shall we? This is World Soccer Radio on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. My name is Danny Page, in for everyone's favorite knob, Nick Gieber. Mr. Gieber, I don't know, he may join us a little bit later on. A whole lot to talk about on this Tuesday night across the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. The stat man, David Mosse, will join me from Los Angeles. The top topic for David and I coming up here tonight is the state of Serie A. And we got into it a little bit yesterday with AC Milan Football Club and kind of what that club looks like right now, what they're going through. But we'll delve deeper into Serie A as a whole. First, though, I want to talk about the cyclical nature of the world's biggest leagues. And I think the Barclays Premier League right now, at this moment, has an opportunity to cement itself really as the world's top league. That may seem crazy considering that everything seems to change and move around so much, but to me, the time is now for the BPL to claim their spot as the greatest league on the planet for many, many decades to come. This is World Soccer Radio on Sports Byline USA. You can also find us on the iHeartRadio app and the TuneIn app. Watch from our studio as well. The website is watchwsr.com. A big thanks to our men and women in uniform listening on American Forces Network. It is always a pleasure to be with you here Monday through Friday, every night at 9 p.m. Eastern on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. I'm here. Mosse will be here. But more than anything, we want you to be here. Give us a call, 800-878-PLAY. That's 800-878-PLAY. And join us on the Sports Byline Radio Network for tonight's show. We talk about the BPL. We talk about the state of Serie A. And we certainly will get into the Ballon d'Or disaster, as now Michel Platini even has spoken out against what just seems like a ridiculous self-promoting ceremony. I didn't think Platini would be the one to do so, but he's joined the party, which in some ways is hard to believe. It's World Soccer Radio. It's Sports Byline USA. My name is Danny Page. You can find the show on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. You can find me on Twitter at DPage805. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll be right back on your home for soccer talk here in the United States, World Soccer Radio. See you in a second, boys and girls.
Waiting for settlement or annuity payments but need cash now? Stop waiting years for your money. Now you have a better choice. We're Novation, and we'll pay a large lump sum of cash in exchange for settlement or annuity payments. You get the upfront cash you need and let Novation do the waiting. Call our toll-free assistance line right now and get our free DVD that explains how you can turn future settlement or annuity payments into cash. Call 800-541-0769. That's 800-541-0769.
Hey, it's Guy Fieri, and before the game, it's all about the tailgating. Burgers, sausage and peppers, onions, hot wings, you name it. But come game time, if you got yourself a whole bunch of heartburn, roll out the Rolaids.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. Rolaids gets you back in the action fast. Its dual-active formula neutralizes more acid than Tubs. For indigestion and heartburn, get rapid relief with Rolaids.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S? Now that's how you spell relief.
Use as directed. Acid neutralization may not correlate with symptom relief.
Quaker State and Walmart want to celebrate all you do-it-yourselfers. All you I can fix everything with a roll of duct tape. The I work hard for my money, so finding the best price shouldn't be another full-time job kind of people. Because when you want the job done right at the right price, you do it yourself. Trust the motor oil that's durable enough to have been tested in real-world driving conditions and still passed critical tests for brand new oil. So stop in at your local Walmart and pick up a 5-quart jug of conventional Quaker State motor oil today for only $14.47. Real, durable oil. See QuakerState.com for details.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Got pain? Get Zim's Max Freeze. Zim's Max Freeze, maximum muscle and joint pain relief. Your solution for temporary relief of aches and pains. Zim's Max Freeze knows your pain and relieves backache, strains, bruises, and sprains. If you're a senior, weekend warrior, or seasoned athlete, get Zim's Max Freeze. Zim's Max Freeze is fast-acting and deep penetrating with no lingering odor. Available at all major retailers.
Very nice. Very nice little Stone Temple Pilots bringing us back here on World Soccer Radio. My name is Danny Page. Nick Geber is out tonight. We do expect Nick to be back tomorrow here on the show. We, of course, are across the nation on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're with me out on the left coast, that is 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Danny Page, and for Geber, he'll be back tomorrow. We're scheduled to be joined by Nicola Crosby coming up tomorrow night. She's a presenter for beIN Sports in Qatar. It'll be fun, as we'll speak to her from the Arabian Peninsula live from Qatar. beIN Sports, obviously, one of the networks that has, or the network at this moment, that is the center of Italian football. They have the Italian Cup matches. They have, obviously, the chase for the Scudetto as well. And David Mosse is going to join the show a little bit later on. Remember, we'd love you to get in touch with the program. Give us a call, 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY, to join us here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Also, hit us up on Twitter, at World Soccer Radio. We're going to talk about Italian football. And I think back to, Internazionale's Champions League win, 4 years ago now. I think back to Milan and their win over Liverpool. I think back to the days about a decade ago. In fact, I think it was exactly a decade ago, when two Italian clubs met in the UEFA Champions League final. That seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? And at this point, no one from Italy has advanced to the knockout stages, which is just an atrocious record for what was such a proud club footballing nation. I think this obviously hasn't been matched by the resurgence of the Italian national team after that disastrous performance in the Euros in 2008, and then obviously in South Africa in 2010, getting back to the Euro final in 2012. So as the club product has declined, the national product has really gotten back to a high point. That entirely doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me is the state of Italian football in general, and I think for those of us that follow the Barclays Premier League the closest, for those of us that is the the greatest league that we watch, and the league that we watch more than any. I know some of our listeners are Serie A fans, and we'd love to hear from you, 800-878-PLAY, or hit me up on Twitter, at World Soccer Radio. You look at the Premier League and you say, yes, everything's cyclical. Everything will change and alter, and one league will end up tumbling and another will rise. You look back to the 1980s and the late 70s and where Liverpool was, and when that league, and Everton was so strong, even going back to Nottingham Forest as well, when the English League was on top, and then you obviously had the horrific stadium disasters, you had the era of hooliganism, and English football took a massive, massive tumble. So you say, well, isn't that going to happen this time around? Shouldn't English football and the fans of it be prepared that maybe in a decade, or you look back 5 years ago when there were 2 English teams in the final, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 8 or 10 years from now, the league won't be the best league in the world. That finally the cycle will embrace the Bundesliga, which is much more financially solvent, for example. Perhaps the French league even, with the surge from PSG and possibly Monaco, if they can sort out their tax issues. But I think that a new era is sort of unfolding in world sport in the way that we receive and digest the live television product. This is the new high-definition era, as we've kind of been calling it on this program. And I think that the Barclays Premier League is easily on top now. The teams bring in the most match day revenue. They bring in the most television revenue. And I think that the possibility is there for the Barclays Premier League to cement itself as the greatest league in the world for a very, very long time. A lot of the reasons we saw these changes as leagues would sort of ebb and flow in their popularity and strength, obviously hooliganism had a lot to do with that. I really firmly believe that the TV deals and in place of foreign overs, the state of the domestic economies sort of allowed for that natural flow. But now that the wealthiest owners in the world, I would say 6 out of 10 are flocking to the English game, and the fact that the match day revenues and the television revenue are higher than any other league in the world as far as the split among your top 20 teams. Now, yes, Barcelona and Real Madrid make more from their television contracts than Chelsea and Man United, for example, but they negotiate their own television contracts. If at some point La Liga negotiates the deals as a whole and splits them among their teams, then they'll fall back behind the top English teams, behind the English teams that finish in the top 4. The opportunity is there. If the financial fair play rules are somewhat followed correctly, if foreign ownership does enough to support their club but doesn't do too much, and if the TV coverage continues the way it has been conducted for these last few years, especially going into this new deal now with BT Sport, which is going to give these teams even more money, and if the hooliganism era is truly, truly behind us, and this league doesn't end up bowing to FIFA in FIFA's state of autocratic idiocy, then I think this league can and will be the top league for a very, very long time. I don't know. What do you guys think? Give me a call. Let me know. 800-878-PLAY, 800-878-PLAY, or you can let us know on Twitter. I'm checking our Twitter account now. Anything you have to contribute on this, let me know. And maybe it's a new school mentality. Maybe it's just my shorter-term perspective on the game I've been following for about a dozen years now. But at the same time, when you look at the way business was conducted in football over the last 30 or 40 years, those changes and those flows and those differences in the strengths of certain leagues was altered by different changes and sort of upstarts in revenue. And frankly, things are going to be entirely different at this point. For those of you watching, watchwsr.com is the URL. Things are going to look entirely different when it comes to match day revenue, but less than that when it comes to television revenue. And I think now that we've hit this incredible crescendo as far as where TV rights will be, they're only getting higher and higher. And I believe in this case that the rich being those in the Barclays Premier League, that the rich can get richer and richer. And again, it can very much be seen as a short-sighted point of view, as a point of view of someone that really, again, has not followed the game for 40 years in the way Nick has. And I'd love to get his thoughts on this and the thoughts of any of you that have been fans of the game for so long. But I truly believe that this league can cement itself as the best in the world for a very, very long time. Serie A is really going through some incredible struggles. You look at the champions in Juve, and they're worried about being able to even hold on to their top players. That their top players in Arturo Vidal and Marchisio and Paul Pogba will be drawn to Paris, or will be drawn to Manchester, or even to the English capital. That has to throw up huge red flags to the state of the game in your nation. And I want to chat with David Mosse, and we will on the other side of the break, about what does England do to ensure that they don't take a similar tumble. Now, again, they took a tumble in the late 80s and 90s for some very serious and very different reasons. But finances should not be the problem. The rich should get richer and richer. And we'll see what happens when it comes to English football. I'll talk with Mosse about this. We'll talk about the Ballon d'Or as well, which I don't even know what to say about the FIFA goons and what they're working on. A timeout here on World Soccer Radio. My name is Danny Page, people. We'll be right back on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network and WatchWSR.com.
In 2000, the U.S. national debt was $5.6 trillion, and gold was $272 an ounce. By 2010, the U.S. debt was $13.5 trillion. Gold had risen to $1,421. Today, our government is projecting over $20 trillion of debt in the year 2016. Isn't it time you own gold? You can't control federal spending, but you can control where you put your investment dollars. Goldline has safely delivered billions of dollars in gold to its clients for over 50 years. Diversifying with gold is a smart strategy. Call Goldline today to receive your free investor kit. 800-319-9027. Ask them about payment options and read their important risk information to see if buying gold is right for you. Use your credit card for safety and convenience. Don't wait. Call Goldline today. 800-319-9027. 800-319-9027.
Who did you let down today? Your wife? Your kids? Well, how about yourself? Take a look in the mirror. If you're tired of your drug and alcohol problem, you need to fix the problem, and right now, before you hurt or kill yourself, or worse yet, somebody else. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have private insurance, we specialize in finding you the right treatment. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through right now. Let us help you break your addiction to drug and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential and free. So if you have private insurance, take 5 minutes of your time. Call right now. I promise it'll change your life. 800-296-1325.
I am.
800-296-1325. 800-296-1325.
For those of you listening on the stream, pleasure to have you with us. David Mosse will be our guest momentarily. Hey, big thanks to Chris Harris and the guys
paying outrageous
over
prices
at World
for
Soccer
prescription
Talk.
drugs. Well, we have great news.
Always a pleasure to work with the fellas over there. We'd love to hear from you on Twitter at World Soccer Radio. My name, of course, is Danny Page. The Geeb, Mr. Geeber, he will be back.
Danny, why are you talking?
Why pay U.S. pharmacy
I'm talking to our
prices when
stream
you can
listeners,
get
my
brand name
friend.
drugs?
Oh, okay. Hi, stream listeners.
Call today and get up to 75%
I like to get a little
off
bit
all
more
the popular
interactive than
brand
the
name
Geeb
prescription
does, you know?
drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
Well then, I guess we're starting this one with a bang, aren't we? My name is Danny Page. This is World Soccer Radio. on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. You can also watch the show. That's watchwsr.com, watchwsr.com. Some special commentary during the break there. I'd love to hear from you guys tonight, just your thoughts on things as we, continue to build toward the weekend action, of course. Joining us on the phone, we call him the stat man, but he just knows it all. David Mosse works with Fox Sports, of course, working on a lot of their soccer content. David, good to have you with us, man.
Thank you, Danny. Good to be on with you.
What's the Mosse? What's the latest with you? What have you been? Before we get into what I really want to discuss today, what have you been following, so to speak, in the world of soccer?
Well, we've been working on the FA Cup almost exclusively now that our show Fox Soccer Daily is on a little bit of a hiatus. Also, I've been sinking my teeth this week into the CONCACAF Under-20 Women's Championship, believe it or not.
What was the score today? It was like 13-0 or something like that?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, the U.S. won 10-0 its last match against Guatemala. Mexico beat Honduras 10-1. So, yeah, USA and Mexico appear to be on a collision course to meet in the final. So at least we can look forward to that on Sunday. That should be a pretty good match.
The CONCACAF Under-20 Women's Championships. Only you, David Mosse. That's why you're the man. So, David, I don't know if you caught the opening segment of the show. I want to talk about Serie A. But you obviously, younger guy like myself, but you've, watched the game since birth. You followed the game since birth. And obviously one thing that happens over time is that there really is an ebb and flow into the most popular leagues in the world at different times. You look back to the all-Italian final, a decade ago in the Champions League, and now not one Italian team is going through to the last 16 in the Champions League. But my argument is that with television revenue skyrocketing, that if those in charge of the Premier League play their cards right, that because we are at this new era in broadcast television, that if one league kind of stakes a claim now and plays their cards right, they can be the top league for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Do you agree with that, or do you think there will be a natural flow?
No, I mean, what's going on in Serie A right now is not just cyclical. It's There's some really underlying problems there. It's an amazing fall from grace, Danny, because when I was growing up in Brazil, this was the league that everybody watched. It was the one European league that really mattered. Like you said, from 92 to 98, 7 straight seasons, there was an Italian club in the European Cup final.
Wow.
Like you said, all-Italian final in 2003, AC Milan, Juventus at Old Trafford. And now you had just one team, AC Milan, scraping through to the round of 16. That's the fewest Italian teams in the last 16 since the competition was expanded in 99, 2000 to 32 teams.
I can't believe I actually did leave out Milan. That's my bad. I mean, they've just been in such turmoil. It's hard to believe a team sitting 11th in Serie A is the only one to get through.
Well, they'll be out in the next round against Atletico Madrid. But no, it's they haven't been able to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, money-wise. And it's something that it's a big point of pride for them that they haven't sold out the way England has in terms of relying on these rich foreign owners. But I think it's something now that they're just going to have to swallow their pride and go in that direction. You've already seen Inter Milan, Massimo Moratti finally sold the club to this Indonesian businessman who took over this season. Now he's claiming that this is not going to be a Man City PSG deal where he's going to spend crazy amounts of money. He wants to go about it in a smarter way, but we'll see. It's at least something different. It's a fresh approach, and we'll see what he does. Also, some good stuff going on at Roma with these American owners. They're very ambitious and have deep pockets, and they're talking about building a new stadium and a whole new area adjacent to the stadium that's going to be actually modeled after LA Live. The same sort of thing that took place here in Los Angeles. Juventus recently built their own stadium, beautiful ground that's actually going to host the Europa League final. So, I mean, there is some movement in the right direction, but it might take years for them to catch up financially and be able to compete because, Serie A is really lost in terms of allure and prestige. Really fallen behind the Premier League and the Bundesliga and La Liga here. I mean, they've already lost the Champions League spot, and if they're not careful, they're going to slip lower in those rankings, and it's going to affect when their teams get into these competitions. So I think things are actually going to get worse before they get better, to be honest.
Watching a lot of Italian football when AC Milan was still a top team, and obviously the Milan derby seemed to really mean so much more than it does now. But even in those years after Italy won the World Cup, David, in 2006, 7, and 8, match day revenue seemed to be significantly declining because there were so many empty seats still. And that seems to have been an issue in Serie A for really a long time now, since that sort of golden stretch in the 90s.
Yeah, no question. The stadiums are falling apart. They're just not that appealing.
Yes.
And, Italy is just not a really going to games culture. I mean, I don't know if you remember Italia 90, but I mean, it's the only World Cup I can remember where there were just lots of empty seats, especially those first few rows of the stadium. Nobody likes to sit there.
Right, they don't like to sit there.
And yeah, it's really caught up with them. In the lack of a television revenue relative to these other top leagues. So you're right. I mean, there's some really underlying financial issues in that league that they have to sort out. Otherwise, they're not going to make a comeback here anytime soon.
What about the reverse with England? Do you feel that England can, as I said, sort of stake its claim for a long period of time? I feel like it's surely possible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the popularity of the Premier League now is just it's not going to go down anytime soon. Now they have lost a little bit. La Liga has stolen a little bit of their thunder at the top with Barcelona and Real Madrid and Ronaldo and Messi being there. I feel like there's a little bit more of a spotlight at the very top in Spain than there is in England. But no, top to bottom, it's certainly the most exciting league in the world, and it seems to be the most popular. So. Yeah, you're right. If with the money that's being generated now, if they manage it right, I mean, it's going to stay this way for a very long time.
Because you know what the purists are going to say, and if you are a purist, please hit us up at World Soccer Radio. He is at Statman Mosse, David Mosse from Fox Sports. You know what the purists are going to say? That there's cycles for everything, and give it another 6 or 8 years, and another league will be on top. But we really are entering a new era of high definition television, where even if you look at the National Football League playoffs a couple weeks ago during Wild Card Weekend, fans would rather sit home and watch the games because the coverage is so outstanding than actually attend them. And I think that the revenue possibilities for the Barclays Premier League specifically give it such a tremendous edge for a very long period of time.
No, I agree. And one thing the Premier League has that even La Liga and the Bundesliga don't is depth. I mean, there's so many big clubs that people are interested in, and it just seems to be more competitive than those other two leagues that are extremely top-heavy right now. So, I mean, that's even a feather in England's cap that, there just seem to be more teams in England right now that folks are really interested in that seem to have the spending power to go out and attract top players. So, yeah, I mean, I think England has everything going for it right now, for sure.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to bring that up with you and confirm during my opening rant that I'm not entirely crazy with a short-sighted point of view, although, both are probably true. What does Milan do? What do Milan themselves, do they really stand no chance in your mind, against Atletico Madrid? I think that's a fair assessment.
No, to me, I like Clarence Seedorf. He was just in Brazil this past year playing for Botafogo, and is a very likable guy. Everybody in Brazil loved him, so I wish him the best. But to me, this is a suicide mission. I'm probably the last Massimo Allegri defender left on the planet. I do think the situation had gotten so untenable that they had to get rid of him, but anybody that thinks that he was the problem there, when he was given some talent to work with, he did just fine. He won a Serie A title his first season, finished second season, and then did very well to finish in the top 3 last year with the squad he was handed. I mean, for them to sell Ibrahimovic and Thiago Silva the way they did was just unconscionable to me. And to me, the bigger problem there, I talked about ownership and the need to sell. I mean, that's a club to me that, Silvio Berlusconi, somewhere along the line there, I would trace it back to maybe the summer of 2006 after the Calciopoli scandal when Shevchenko left. He just lost his ambition and his willingness to spend. And, they've had a couple of moments here of boldness since then, when late in the summer of 2010 when they got Ibrahimovic, who was on the outs at Barcelona, and then maybe last January when they got Balotelli. But even those moves, they only paid about 20-something million. And beyond that, they've been just penny pinchers and bargain hunters and just trying to kind of slap together these squads that just aren't good enough to compete for major trophies anymore. I mean, this was the model club in Europe for almost 2 decades. I've made this comparison before. They were like the San Francisco 49ers
sure.
of European football. I mean, I think there was a stretch of 19 seasons where they went to 8 European Cup finals and won it 5 times, and now they haven't been past the quarter since 2007, and they've won 1 Serie A title in the last 10 seasons, and he's not willing to spend. He just scapegoats these managers and tries to blame it on them or shakes up the front office. Now you have his daughter, Barbara, sort of rising at the club and pushing Adriano Galliani, Uncle Fester, kind of out the door. And it's madness to me. I mean, to me, he's the problem. He needs to look in the mirror. And, I think if he's not willing to spend anymore, I mean, it might be time for him to sell to somebody else.
To me, a huge problem, too. And we're just about to go to break. Hopefully, David Mosse, you hang with us to the other side. To me, it's just the culture of players that they signed and tried to bring in. I mean, you go back to these remarkable training tactics for this club and the way that they would monitor their players' physical abilities and carry, key midfielders and fullbacks and center backs all the way into their late 30s. But then they start signing players, even like an Ibrahimovic, even like, obviously, a Mario Balotelli and El Shaarawy, who are individuals that are themselves before their club. And that just is not the way that AC Milan was able to succeed over so many years. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, they fell in love with the Milan lab. They had the famous medical staff.
Mosse, we got to run out to break here. Let's talk about this on the other side, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, a quick timeout. We'll be right back on World Soccer Radio. Talking AC Milan. What can they do to get back on top? A quick break here on the show. My name is Danny Page. We'll be right back.
If you drive a pre-owned GM vehicle with OnStar, you've got a powerful connection to help wherever you go, but only if you activate the service. So we're giving you a chance to test drive it for 3 months at no cost or obligation. Just push the blue OnStar button and ask for 3 months on us. If you're lost or need help, we'll be there. Offer good on 2006 or newer, digitally equipped pre-owned and non-active GM models. Visit OnStar.com for coverage map, details, and system limitations.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now, 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it, or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242.
Filing your federal taxes with TaxAct.com is easy, fast, and free. You who can do anything, you got this. You manage your razor stubble so it looks naturally scrappy. You watch your dream home for far less than asking. You can change a tire, a light bulb, and a diaper back to back. You recite the wisdom of philosophers, late-night comedians, and cartoon characters at just the right moment. You got this. TaxAct.com is easy, fast, and free. We guide you at every step. All e-fileable federal forms plus your maximum refund is guaranteed. You got this. TaxAct.com.
We're back here on World Soccer Radio, Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Cruising through the 90s now. Big thanks, as always, to Scott and Jerry, as well as Darren, of course, up in San Francisco. The San Francisco 49ers back in the NFC Championship game after a dip of, 8, 9, 10 years, and David Mosse from Fox Sports is here with us to talk about how AC Milan, sort of the Niners of world football during that era, how do they get back to that kind of game, right, David? It's an appropriate comparison, especially when you consider that the Niners are back in the NFC Championship game. And in my mind, Clarence Seedorf is no Jim Harbaugh. It's not going to be that quick and easy.
Yeah, I guess to carry this comparison all the way, I guess that would make Berlusconi the Eddie DeBartolo and Galliani the Carmen Policy, if you will.
Fantastic.
But, I think ultimately, I think Berlusconi is just going to have to sell the team to some owner with deep pockets who's going to put some money into that club, because I just don't think there's any way around it. They tried for a few seasons there to fool people by signing these aging stars like Ronaldo and Ronaldinho and Beckham, and to try to stay relevant and create the illusion that they were still a factor. And now they've at least thankfully gone away from that. The last couple of seasons they have actually focused on younger players. And I actually think Galliani's done some of his best work the last couple of seasons, bringing in Montolivo on a free transfer, Mexis on a free transfer, Honda now on a free transfer, signing El Shaarawy from Padova. They signed this young player, Ricardo Saponara from Empoli, who I like a lot. So there is some talent there. There's the makings of something, but no, I mean, they still to go to the next level, they are going to have to spend some money and get in the transfer market and compete for some real prize talent. And otherwise, I don't see any way back for this club to the heights they had reached of, competing in the Champions League and Serie A year in, year out for major trophies.
Now, you mentioned as we went to break, I would love to hear your thoughts on that fixation with the Milan Lab. And I think that the Milan Lab really was very helpful for a certain era. But I think it also, as I mentioned, I feel like it also took a certain type of character player to be able to function within the auspices of the Milan system at that time. And those aren't the type of character individuals that they necessarily brought in recent years.
Yeah, it certainly didn't work on Pato, because I've never seen a player get injured more often than he did.
Oh my gosh, what a disaster for him.
Yeah, you're right. They definitely fell in love with the Milan Lab and thinking that they could bring these older players in and somehow they'd be able to work with them and they would find this fountain of youth and it just stopped happening. I mean, you could go through down the line. They tried it with Fernando Redondo, it didn't work. Rivaldo, like I mentioned, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and it's just I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I don't know if the latest sports medicine techniques just sort of passed them by, and other clubs caught up. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I can't totally speak to that intelligently, but it's just an approach that worked for a long time, but then it stopped working, and they kept persisting with it longer than they should have, for sure.
If you can name AC Milan signings from Empoli, then you have a doctorate in world football, my friend. Let's move over to the Ballon d'Or, because Nick and I were all over this silliness yesterday, with the exception of Fernando Lima. I mean, honestly, what a ridiculous ceremony. First of all, their self-promoting attitude. I think it's just so ridiculous. And some good points have been brought up that a player like Ribéry wins the treble, wins the Club World Cup, so on and so forth. Gets his team into the World Cup in a playoff similar to Ronaldo, and he really is kind of an afterthought. Just your thoughts on this award and the ceremony as a whole, David Mosse.
I mean, I think a lot of things about it. I do think Ronaldo should have won it. I'm very unconvinced by this argument that because a player was on the team that won the most trophies. To me, it's an individual award. The team stuff can serve as a tiebreaker if two guys are close, but I don't think it was that close. I mean, I don't think any serious person can tell me that over the last 12 months, Ribéry played as well as Ronaldo. To me, he was the most dominant player, and he deserved to win it. But I will say, the way the whole thing was handled with the voting being extended, it's funny. In many ways, those ridiculous comments that Blatter made at the Oxford Union about Ronaldo actually worked to his benefit here, because Blatter was so embarrassed that he wanted Ronaldo to win so he could sort of make amends and save face and all that. And so I think everything that was done in terms of extending the voting and all that was done to try to help Ronaldo win it. I'd be very curious to know if they had stuck to the original deadline, if and the voting had concluded before that playoff against Sweden, if perhaps Ribéry would have won it. It wouldn't surprise me, because the voting was actually pretty close at the end.
Doesn't the award as a whole just seem like a total farce, though? And really, as we look at so many of the things FIFA are doing, it really in general, I mean, a sin bin, just give me a break. This is absolutely ridiculous behavior across the board. And again, the only sound decision they continue to make is bringing Fernando Lima to serve as presenter at these events.
Yeah, I think FIFA has ruined the Ballon d'Or, frankly. It was fine for it existed for over 50 years without FIFA.
Yeah.
And FIFA actually created its own award to try to overshadow the Ballon d'Or, and they weren't successful at it. So they finally had to wave the white flag and just merge. And to me, they've ruined it. I actually liked it better when it was just journalists voting who seemed to take it more seriously. Now you have these international captains and coaches who, I don't know how seriously they take it. I mean, I was looking at some of the results and who voted for who, and to me it was just laughable in some cases. And so, yeah, to me it's another thing that FIFA has screwed up that was perfectly fine. And you're right. Now it's and of course we have to endure this ridiculous ceremony. I agree with you. I mean, and I know this is sacrilegious as a Brazilian, but I'm a little Pele'd out at this point. I mean, does he have to be a central figure in every FIFA event now and be given some sort of honorary award and break down in tears? I mean, to me that part was a little tough to take, to be honest.
Just wait till this, David. Just wait until this summer, man. I mean, it's only going to get worse during the summer, right? I mean, Pele, they'll probably teleport him to every match. A Pele hologram will be doing the coin toss at every game. I think it's only going to be worse during the summer.
Yeah, it really is off-putting. I mean, listen, the guy is
incredible.
I'm Brazilian, so I'm obligated to think that he's the greatest player of all time. But it really is off-putting the way he tries to interject himself into everything that's going on in the game right now. And his time has passed, and he needs to fade into the background a little bit. This World Cup is not about him coming up, and we'll see. I mean. This World Cup. I mean, I'm excited about it because it's in Brazil, but I could imagine for others it could be very tough to take.
Hey, David, what was it like today at Fox with all those FA Cup replays going on? What do you personally think about the replay system? Obviously, it gave us some great results today, but at the same time, it seems like it really does force it forces the fixture pile up perhaps a bit too high.
So you would rather just after the original tie, if it's a draw, you go to extra time and penalty kick there?
I mean, you have a 2-legged League Cup semifinal now. You have the League Cup as well. I mean, that is so many fixtures, and then having to put together replays just seems like a lot to me. It seems like too many matches for some of these teams.
Yeah, there was a famous tie way back in 1971 between All Church and I want to say Oxford City that needed 5 replays and took 11 hours to settle. So, at least they've changed the rules since then, and we don't have to endure anything like that.
But the thing that can make this cup, or can just continue to make it more and more enchanting, is the idea of teams like Wigan going on and winning it, upsetting a big club. And I think the easiest way to do that is by settling it in 120 minutes. Because when lower-level clubs have to play extra fixtures, that's when they really suffer. I mean, City can put out another team against Blackburn tomorrow, than a completely different team than they will at the weekend. Blackburn can't really do that. I think doing so, the replay now supports the bigger, more powerful, stacked, loaded, rich clubs.
No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, if you're somebody that is into the Cinderellas and upsets and all that, then yeah, the replay certainly works against that. Now, I will say there is a school of thought that you want to see the big boys collide at the end, and I think this season we're sort of headed for that. I mean, the draw so far has kept all the top clubs apart, and so if they take care of business here, we could have a pretty star-studded quarterfinals and semifinals and such. So, I mean, there's two schools of thought, and No, go ahead.
When you get to that point, right? When you get to the quarterfinals, let's say something like 5 of the top 8, 6 of the top 8 teams are still around. I know Newcastle are out and Tottenham are out, but let's say 6 of the top 8 are left or something like that. The question, I think, doesn't become the excitement about the matchups. The question becomes, what sort of teams do these guys put out, these managers put out, when you consider that they have Champions League obligations as well? I think that has to, in the end, become the bigger story, could become the bigger story in some ways. I'm a sucker for the Cinderella story, frankly. That's kind of where I stand on the FA Cup.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Now, let me ask you a question, because we've had this debate around the office. If you were a club, what would you rather win, the FA Cup or the Europa League?
Wow, I'd rather win the FA Cup. I think that, in fact, I think the worst position, let me put it this way, the 4th worst position to finish in the Barclays Premier League table is 5th. 18th, 19th, and 20th are the worst. But 5th is right behind that because you just have so many more fixtures. Now they have to play around a 32 tie, obviously, as well. I think the Europa League is a lot. And what happens is, like Newcastle last year, you end up finishing down in 14th when you have to play in the Europa League because you're not financially equipped to take on, that sort of competition.
That's a great point, although they did make a move to add a little bit of juice to it. Now, starting next season, the Europa League winner does get a Champions League berth.
Right.
It's something they're mimicking from South America, where the Copa Sudamericana winner gets a Libertadores berth. So
I think that's great.
I think that's a good move, yeah. But, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Newcastle is a perfect example of a team that really paid the price last season. Yeah.
They just couldn't hang. They couldn't hang. I've been to an FA Cup final at Wembley, though, so I'm a little bit more biased towards that tournament, I obviously love the magic of the FA Cup. Hey, it's always magic when David Mosse is on here. Thank you, bro. It's a lot of fun chatting. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Follow him on Twitter, @StatmanMosse. David, great guy, great guest. Always a blast to have. I honestly, in all the people I've encountered that I've met in football over time, I'm not sure I've met someone that's more knowledgeable as far as players and teams and what really happens out there. He's nothing short of remarkable, and it's a pleasure having David here on the show. Tomorrow, though, you'll have 2 individuals hosting the program, myself and Nick Gieber, that really don't know that much at all, but we're really good at projecting as if we do. That's a great question from David, though, and maybe it's one we'll put to you guys on Twitter. @World Soccer Radio is the show's Twitter account. I'm @DPage805. Which competition would you rather have your team win? The Europa League or the FA Cup? And for some reason, it's the look of the trophy, it's the tradition. I would rather win the Football Association Challenge Cup, presented by Budweiser, right? To me, that is just the more prestigious trophy in England. It is just what I have experienced myself and what I would want to see my club win. We will see who wins it this year. And David brings up the tremendous point that look at who is left and look at the 4th round ties, and really the draw is wide open for top clubs to meet at Wembley. You could even see the top 4 teams meeting at Wembley in the FA Cup semifinals, because remember, that goes down on back-to-back days in April. We'll take a time out here on World Soccer Radio, close things out on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. My name is Danny Page. We will be right back.
I got a pocket full of rubbers and my homeboys.
This family is at home, but they won't be answering the door. They know that the pounding on the door is a process server from the court waiting to hand them foreclosure documents. So instead of enjoying the home they worked so hard to afford, they sit hiding in the dark.
Mom, what was that?
But it doesn't have to be this way. This family can save their home, but they must act fast. Call Allied State Foreclosure Solutions at 800-274-7312. If you're being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, missed a payment on your mortgage, been a victim of a predatory loan, or are upside down on your home, it's critical that you call Allied State Foreclosure Solutions now. 800-274-7312. Allied State Foreclosure Solutions has an attorney in your area that will meet and speak with you. You can stop the foreclosure process, lower your monthly mortgage payments, save your home and your credit, but you must act now. Call 800-274-7312. 800-274-7312. Not available in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
My joints used to kill me. I'd wake up with stiff knees and a stiff back, and it wouldn't get much better throughout the day. I went to doctors and took almost every supplement you can think of, and nothing seemed to help. Then I found something called Oil Can Joint Lubricant. They use only top-of-the-line, all-natural ingredients, and I know many companies make similar claims, but here's the big difference. Oil Can ingredients are scientifically formulated to work together faster than anything else in the marketplace. That's guaranteed. I take Oil Can every day. My knee pain was gone in just a few days. So if you have knee pain, back pain, and you tried everything, try Oil Can Joint Lubricant risk-free right now. I'm confident you'll have fewer aches and pains within days, or we will gladly refund your money. Call right now. 800-989-1795. 800-989-1795. 800-989-1795. 800-989-1795.
All right. My name is Danny Page, closing out this edition of World Soccer Radio here on the Sports Byline USA Radio Network. Mr. Gieber will be back tomorrow. Both of us will hold down the show on Wednesday. At least that's the plan. We're supposed to be joined by Nicola Crosby as well from BN Sports. She'll join us via Skype live from Doha in Qatar. Great presenter for that network, and we will talk to Nicola. The plan is coming up tomorrow. It's funny, the interview will actually be live here on the show Wednesday night, but at that point it is Thursday morning in Qatar. Hey, how about, speaking of the FA Cup today, how about non-league Kidderminster advancing to the fourth round from a town of, 50,000 people? And to me, that's the magic of this tournament. That it's nothing like anything we experience in this country, with the exception, of course, of March Madness. Florida Gulf Coast, they were my heroes. When a team when a team can advance to the finals against Duke and UConn like a Butler, give me a break. I mean, that is what makes the FA Cup so special, because it's unlike anything we really have in this country, and that's why I think it should be one match, played to the finish. It increases the variable in regards to an unpredictable outcome. And that's personally what I'd love to see from the tournament. Again, I made a lot of comments today that don't come from a purist standpoint. But let's be honest with ourselves. This is a different game and a different place for world soccer. It's been a pleasure, boys and girls. Danny Page here, the Yank holding things down on World Soccer Radio. Big thanks to David Mosse for joining us, and of course to Jerry up in San Francisco. It has been a lot of fun, my friend, and it's been a lot of fun being with all of you. Follow us on Twitter at World Soccer Radio, me at DPage805, Nick at NGieber, and of course David at Statman Mosse. Thanks to our partners at World Soccer Talk and everyone at Sports Byline. Good night to all of you men and women listening in uniform as well on the American Forces Network. Nick and I will be back tomorrow. Night, everybody.
Night, man.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
No problemo.